All right, Vice President Harris promising Nevada voters that she will solve the problems at the southern border. Really?
It comes as the DHS works to downplay ICE data showing tens of thousands of illegal migrants with serious convictions are roaming free in our country.
Jacqui Heinrich is roaming free at the White House, and she joins us live. Hey, Jacqui.
Good morning to you guys. Vice President Harris claims that she will go even farther than President Biden to secure the border and will make it tougher to reopen it under the executive orders that he put in place last June. That restricts asylum when the average numbers of crossings eclipse a threshold of 2,500 per day over the course of a week. It only reopens when that number dips below 1,500 per day. We have not yet reached that number. And Harris is now saying that she would drop it down even lower, so create an even higher threshold to reopen the southern border. Harris is saying, though, that this is going to be part of her plan that she announced over the weekend. Listen.
Those who cross our borders unlawfully will be apprehended and removed and barred from re-entering for 5 years. We will pursue more severe criminal charges against repeat violators. And if someone does not make an asylum request at a legal point of entry and instead crosses our border unlawfully, they will be barred from receiving asylum.
The bulk of Harris's speech, though, is about Trump. She painted him as the agent of chaos, said he didn't solve the shortage of border agents or immigration judges as president, and killed the bipartisan border bill that she has now co-opted as her own platform. Trump has fired back, especially after new ICE data revealed tens of thousands of illegal migrants with sex offenses and homicide convictions are running around the country undetained. Among them, more than 13,000 convicted of homicide, 15,000 convicted of sexual assault. In all, the data shows 425,431 convicted criminals not in detention right now, with an additional 222,000 with pending criminal charges. DHS says in a statement the data in the letter is being misinterpreted. The data goes back decades. It includes individuals who entered the country over the past 40 years or more, the vast majority of whose custody determination was made long before this administration. It includes many who are under the jurisdiction or currently incarcerated by federal, state, or local law enforcement partners. However, they didn't provide any data to us to break down that answer. Here's what Trump says.
Kamala, you're fired. You're fired. Get out of here. Go back to San Francisco, Kamala, which you destroyed. Starting on day one, I will seal the border and stop the invasion of migrants into our country. Very dangerous migrants. We will carry out the largest deportation operation of criminals in American history.
The vice president was supposed to be doing additional stops in Nevada today, but she's returning from her West Coast swing early to get a briefing at FEMA headquarters on Hurricane Helene impacts, guys.
And,
All right,
and
thanks,
Jacqui, she was out west to give that speech on Friday, but really she was out there to raise money. I read this morning she raised $55 million, 2 fundraisers?
Yeah, she had a number of fundraisers this weekend, and she was set to have a couple more events today, but evidently not a good look to be campaigning while people are suffering in North Carolina and down the East Coast. So she is hightailing it back here, we are told early this morning, first thing this morning. So we are awaiting her arrival, guys.
All right, we'll see how her hightails go. Thanks, Jacqui. So we know this. The former president will be in North Carolina today. Over the weekend, he's already been affected. He wanted to have a big outdoor rally in Wisconsin. Was stunningly, 2 weeks ago, I talked to someone, 3 weeks ago now, I talked to someone with the Trump campaign. They were almost ready to give up on Wisconsin. And now Wisconsin's within a point or two. Michigan is a dead heater within a point or two, so it's come all the way back. He wanted to have a big outdoor rally in Wisconsin. Instead, Secret Service tells him he can't do it.
It's unbelievable.
2,500 go indoors. I mean, that is a huge adjustment because you get all those names, possible donations, and those people tell other people. The whole town gets involved, even though next week he's going to go to Butler. Keep in mind, she is down pretty in a major way, 14 points in Arizona when it comes to immigration. She wants to get 1 or 2 points back. But as I mentioned in the first hour, how unbelievable the audacity that she shows sitting in front of that wall that Obama built that was extended by Trump and was stopped by people like her, a senator, and she called it a medieval vanity project that he wanted to finish. Now she's embracing it. If she showed that type of passion 3 years ago, people would say, well, she tried.
Yeah. And
she tried, and maybe her policies didn't work, but you know what? She was down there grinding away. Instead, she did a couple of Zoom calls in one visit and asked Visa to bolster the local economies of Central American nations.
So true, and Ainsley, then she gives a speech, which there has to be some fact checks going forward. She talks about amnesty as if there's any appetite. The country, by and large, is for mass deportations now because they're
60%.
so sick of what's happened at the border, but yet she still talks about it. Then she says that under her policy now, that all the people that have entered in the country and then go through the legal process would have to go back to the back of the line to be deported. So is Kamala Harris for mass deportations? Does that include the 10 million plus million of illegals that have crossed under her reign as well? There's no specifics, Ainsley. There's no pushback. Also, the follow-up is, okay, are you now supporting ICE now? Do you not want them to be defunded? Are you going to give them more money?
Remember, they were...
There's no follow-ups.
Well, maybe these are things that are going to come up tomorrow night in the vice presidential debate. It will be interesting to hear Tim Walz defend that.
She keeps saying a pathway to citizenship, but how scary is that there are almost 16,000 convicted of sexual assault migrants just running around our country. There are 13,000 convicted of homicide running around our country. That is terrifying.
And you don't get to downplay it and say, okay, this is at large. The American people are seeing the little girls that were raped. We put all the families on who were murdered for when they were jogging. So it's one thing to downplay things when you don't have solid examples all over the country, like communities being taken over by Trinidad. Like, it's happening all over the country. What were the new numbers that we reported in New York City about all the migrants that are committing more crimes?
75% of the crimes committed in Midtown.
So, okay, you can tell us all day that this is enlarged, but I see a lot of young men that we've been putting behind bars that have committed these crimes.
And there are a lot of people who are not, they don't really know what she has or hasn't done. And so they watch her at a speech, and if she can give a speech, they think that, you know, that she's doing a good job. Meanwhile, they don't know the facts. Those numbers are staggering.
Yes.
This is scary to know that these illegals are running around that are convicted of crimes. And then she stands in front of the border wall and uses it in her ads now and goes down there. So people are saying, oh, she did go down to the border.
Well, when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were elected to be president and vice president, one of the things they promised was to fix the supply chain. And that leads us to our next story. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhardt. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.